Hey coin collectors, and welcome to the DC Coin World International coin channel. It's DC from DC Coin. Today we're going to take a look at the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar coins from the United States of America. This, of course, is all three of the mint marks here. We have the D, the S, and the P. And you're going to say, well, I can't even distinguish the D, the S, and the P, and we will magnify them, and you'll see you probably will still say after that, I cannot distinguish the D, the S, and the P. But before we look at those mint marks, let's get one other thing out of the way, and that is some people say that this is the ugliest coin ever made, and that's why it wasn't used by people, and that's not true at all. This coin wasn't used because it was almost the exact same size in your hand as a quarter. If you tip it up on its side, it looks just like a quarter with the copper nickel clad copper on the outside. Weighs just a little tiny bit more than a quarter. I think the Susan B weighs, what's it weigh? About 8.1 grams, and a quarter weighs 5+ grams. So you can't really tell the difference between that if it's in your pocket. And people just didn't want to have quarters in their pocket to use for the vending machines. And we've kind of gone by that now because people go to the credit cards now in the vending machines. But in 1979, they said, let's give this a shot. Let's put a woman on the dollar coin. But they didn't really think it through very well, and that's problematic. It's not because the dollar coin is ugly. It is because, in fact, the reverse is just a beautiful reverse also, and that is the eagle landing on the moon. Now, some people say, well, it's the eagle landing on the moon. We've already seen that. That's a Frank Gasparo one that they took off the Eisenhower dollar, and that's true. But that didn't mean that it wasn't a great engraving. There's a FG down here for Frank Gasparo. That's eagle landing on the moon, the earth over its back. It turns out, though, that this one really showed the engraving a lot better than this one did. But if you're willing to just magnify it a little bit, you'll see that this is a beautiful reverse on the Susan B. Anthony dollar. Now, some people say, what's going on with the stars? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's the 13 colonies, right? Well, it is, but it's also for Apollo 13, which was a moon landing ship that the United States sent up to the moon. It says United States of America at the top, e pluribus unum here, $1 at the bottom. And then if we turn it over, oh, let me show you an uglier coin. Now, don't let me get distracted. This is the ugliest coin ever made in the world. This is the Churchill 1 crown coin from the United Kingdom of 1965. It was issued upon Churchill's death, and they wanted to get it out quick. And they did it so quick that they didn't even, I don't know. Let's just not even talk about how they designed this. And as soon as anybody used it, it got worn off. So you see that this is copper nickel all the way through. It's not cladding. It's not silver, though, either. And, of course, this one is saved by the portrait on the front, which is the Mary Gillick portrait of Queen Elizabeth as a 29-year-old when she first took the crown, 1953. This is a 65 version. They didn't change the Mary Gillick portrait until a few years later. So this coin is one of the most interesting, turns out, in the United Kingdom history because they forgot to demonetize it when they demonetized the British pound sterling. So you can't use a shilling anymore, and you can't use the old 3 pence anymore or 6 pence anymore, but you can still use this coin because they didn't demonetize it, and because it was worth a quarter of a pound sterling. That's what a crown is. A crown is worth 5 shillings or a quarter of a pound sterling. They made it worth a quarter of the new pound. So you could actually use this in Britain right now. It is money. You could bring it into a bank and you'd get 25p for it, or 25 pence, or 1/4 of the new British pound. But that being said, that's an ugly coin. And if you want to talk about ugly coins, this is not ugly compared to this one. So now what you're going to say is, well, yeah, but that's a foreign coin, and those United Kingdom people, they've had well, I'll tell you what, they've had some beautiful coins in some of the foreign countries, but that one wasn't one. Here's a much uglier coin. This is a United States coin, so if you're insisting on United States ugliness, Millard Fillmore. If this isn't one of the worst portraits ever on a coin, and I understand that the engraving it's supposed to look like him, but what happens is this engraving probably looked really good until you put it on this particular coin, and this coin does not hold its color well, does not hold its coating well, and does not show portraits very well. It's a Millard Fillmore US dollar, one of the presidential dollar series. It says, "In God We Trust," underneath him, 13th president, 1850 to 1853. And I'll tell you what, the George Washington dollar coin is no prize either. I mean, we've had George Washington on our money for quite a while, and he's always looked better than this, but when you put it on this kind of surface, and it's not the greatest reverse either. But anyways, let's get back to these. This is not this coin was not used because it was ugly. It was not used because of the size, because of the shape, and because people just weren't ready yet. And they still aren't. We still can't get anybody. Even the Sacagawea dollars. No, Sacagawea dollars are beautiful. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. This one actually comes out looking really good on this coin. And Glenna Goodacre, I think, must have done some engraving on this material itself, because it just comes out looking so well on here. And there's a GG for Glenna Goodacre. This is a 2001, which came out shortly after the last Susan B. Anthony coin. So Susan B. Anthony coins came out in 1979, 1980, 1981, and nobody used them. They said 1999, they said, let's bring them back and try them again. And they tried them again in 1999. They still wouldn't use them, so they moved to the Sacagawea coin. And it's a beautiful coin, but guess what? People still aren't using them very much. So, except in some vending machines. And of course, look at the back of this. This is what happens to these coins. The material is just hard to use. All right, so where are these mint marks? Well, there's the P right there. And you can see the P, and it's clear that it is a P. There's something special about some of the Philadelphia mint mark ones, and that is some have a date that's really close. They either call it the close date or the wide rim version. And when this one gets really close to the rim, that one is worth a lot more. These ones aren't worth much, dollar plus, even in really good condition. But if this one gets closer and the rim gets wider, then you have a coin that might be worth a few dollars depending on the condition. This is the Blob S. There's a couple different versions of the S from 1979. This is the so-called Blob S version. I'll show you an uncirculated. This is what it's supposed to look like. And there's two versions of this. There's the flat S, and then there's the one that stands out, and this is kind of the flat S. But it's supposed to look kind of like that, but it looks like that. But I'm telling you, that is the San Francisco Mint version. And then here's the D. So D, S, and P as we go across. Clearly, this isn't a D or a P. And that's kind of how you distinguish it sometimes when you get the blob version. How many did they make? Well, in 1979, they made 360 million of the Ps, Philadelphia. They made 288 million of the Ds for Denver. And they made 109.5 million of the S's for San Francisco, of which the ones with the good S on them are worth a lot more. All right, well, that's all we have today from DC Coin Roll International Coin Channel. Collect these coins if you can, because they only made them 4 different years, and they're, people just aren't preserving them. So good to have some, and see if you can get them in all the mint marks. And the better condition you can get them in, the more likely they are to ever have some value. Have a great day from DC Coin World International Coin Channel.